All right, I'm here with Mike Smith, the owner of Aerocom. We're going to discuss the difference between Fios or DSL and T1 and Ethernet services.
Okay, so the question we get all the time is, why can I get a 40 meg connection at my house for $50 a month, and yet when I walk into my business to get a 40 meg connections, it's thousands of dollars a month? Very good question. We get it all the time. And there's a couple different ways to answer that. Number one, we sell both types of connections. So they're just different connections and they're used for different things. The $40 a month, $50 a month connection is very useful and very good in certain situations. And the $1,000 a month plus connection is good in certain situations. But the inexpensive connections, the fiber connections where you're getting 30, 40 megs at your house or for small businesses, things like that, such as like Verizon Fios, Uverse, those types of products, they were really made to replace DSL. And if you think about it, DSL is a technology that runs over copper lines in the street. Well, as these phone companies get rid of the copper lines in the street that are corroding and causing them a lot of problems and costing them a lot of money to maintain, they're laying down fiber. When they did that, they realized that that's going to eliminate their ability to deliver an inexpensive DSL internet connection to a lot of their customers, so they had to come up with a replacement product that was similar and performed similarly to DSL, which was Fios and Uverse and things like that. So that's where that product kind of came from. So it performs like that. It's an inexpensive internet connection, and it performs well for being the price it is. But the analogy we always use is there's two parts of an internet connection that you're really getting. One is the access piece, which we call the on-ramp to the freeway. So if you think about it, the on-ramp to your freeway can either be wide or it can be narrow. If it's wide, it can fit a lot of cars. And when you're buying an internet connection, your on-ramp to the freeway is the speed that you see advertised to you. So when somebody says you're going to get a 10 meg internet connection or a 20 meg internet connection, what they're advertising to you is your on-ramp size. So that's the first part of an internet connection that you're buying. The second part that affects your internet speed that nobody ever discusses is the actual network speed, which in an analogy you could think of that as the freeway. So the on-ramp is important, but the freeway is equally important in terms of how fast your car is going to travel down the freeway. So when you're buying an internet connection, you need to know your on-ramp speed and what type of traffic is on the freeway. The inexpensive internet connections, like the $30, $40, $50 a month internet connections, what those have is a very congested freeway. So the provider does not put a lot of money into that freeway. It's actually a completely different network than their dedicated internet customers. The 20, 30 meg dedicated Ethernet connections, those run on a separate freeway. The inexpensive internet connections run on this freeway that's somewhat congested, got a lot of traffic on it. They don't maintain it nearly to the same level as their dedicated internet connection customers. So if you think about it, it's a very simple analogy of, hey, if I'm going to travel on the freeway, if I'm one person in a car, that is your small little internet packet that you're sending, a little file that you're sending on the internet. It's not going to make a big difference if the freeway is a little bit congested here and there if you're one car traveling on the freeway. So if you're a small business, a really small business, or you're just looking for a backup connection at your house and your internet needs are not that great or not that serious, the inexpensive internet connection probably isn't going to affect you a whole lot. But if you do have serious internet needs, like you're sending very large files that need to go across the internet quickly, or you're streaming live media, or voice, or things like that are very large files that have to travel very quickly, that are real-time applications, that's going to be like if you're a 40-car convoy trying to travel on the freeway. So if you're a 40-car convoy, you need to have not only a big on-ramp to the freeway, you also have to have a freeway that doesn't have any traffic on it, so you can all travel together at the same time. So bottom line is, if you have very serious internet connections and you're sending large files or streaming live media, things like that, if your internet needs are very serious, If you try to use a $50, $100 a month internet connection, you're pretty much going to get what you pay for. It's going to be a congested freeway. It's not going to work the way you want. But if your needs aren't that big and you do need something that somewhat seems like it's fast, but you're really not using the internet very heavily, yeah, you can get away with the inexpensive internet connections. And if you want to know more about it, just give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you in more depth and give you some pricing.